When you think about the fact that most of your competition is jerking off, wasting time, scrolling social media, practicing escapism, and just distracted in general, it should genuinely piss you off if you're not where you want to be. I mean, it definitely does for me. Like, there's so many nights where I just lay in bed just thinking and not being able to sleep for 2-3 hours. And the only thing you can think about is that I have to win. That feeling of urgency, that drive, that fire inside of you. And you would think that most people feel the same way, like your competition. Or at least that's what I thought for the longest time. Until I realized that, actually most people don't have that. Most people don't think about that. Most people would rather practice escapism, distract themselves, simp over some chick on social media, jerk off every night, etc. And actually, before this video, I looked up the most visited porn sites for the past few months. And of course, number one being the Hub. It had 5.5 billion visits, desktop visits, and 5.1 billion visits on mobile devices. And there's like 8 billion people in the world, and a third doesn't even have internet. Like, how's that possible? Like, bro, your competition is gooning. So much so to the fact where they had to make up an urban dictionary slang just for jerking off. I used to think that there was no competition and you're only ever competing against yourself and everybody's in their own lane doing their own thing and all that cotton candy. You're just competing against the version of yourself yesterday, which is true, right? You are competing against the previous version of yourself, but that's just cope if you think that you're not competing with anyone. The reality is that we're all competing, right? The job you want, the position you want, the impact you want, the girl you want. Like, for example, as guys, right, we have a pretty universal idea of what a baddie is. Regardless of whatever your preferences might be. Like, some guys like white girls, a lot of guys like white girls, some guys like black girls, some guys like Hispanic girls and Latina girls. Hey, how you doing? Some girls like Middle Eastern girls, some girls like Asian girls, whatever it is, right? Whatever your preferences might be, we all have a pretty universal agreed upon idea of what a baddie is. So whatever girl that you want, there's millions of other guys that want her as well. And the same goes for anything else you want. Like all these things that we measure success by that are quantifiable in society. As a matter of fact, 90% of the things that you're trying to get out of life probably overlaps with the guy right next to you. And actually, the other day I was reading The Laws of Human Nature, right? It's right here. And I was reading a part where they said that Sigmund Freud believed that at our core we're driven by two things. Number one is the desire for sex. And number two is the desire to be great. Now, I don't know if that's completely true. Like, I do think that there are people out there that are just genuinely philanthropic, but actually, I guess even those individuals are driven by sex, and, I guess that can be interpreted as chasing greatness. But whether you think that's entirely true, it definitely can't be denied that for most people, that's 95% accurate. For example, right, you go to the gym because you want to get girls, let's keep it a buck, or attract the opposite sex if you're a girl watching this. And maybe it's like 10-15% where it's like, okay, I want to live a healthy lifestyle. Most people are thinking I want to sculpt my body. Just like how most guys want to get rich to get girls, be famous, status, etc. Like a lot of that is undoubtedly driven by the desire for sex. And then there's also power and influence, right? A lot of people chase that for recognition, validation, and the desire for greatness. Like for the most part, in a capitalistic society or a merit-based society, a meritocracy, it's almost impossible to deny that we're all in competition, any way you want to look at it. And it's like, it's fine if you don't want to compete, right? But you also have to accept the reality that you're going to get left behind by those that do. The ones that do want to compete. And listen, right? I've always said that I want everyone to win, especially you, right? Because you're watching me right now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be making these videos that I know will get less views compared to just spamming dating app videos. But it's like at the same time, I also want to win as well. I remember having a conversation with a girl who was my friend at the time. And she asked me, hey Derek, would you consider yourself a good guy or a bad guy? And I sat there and I thought for a second because it wasn't a question I ever thought about. And I said neither. I don't think I'm a good guy or a bad guy. I think I'm just a guy trying to get by. But in retrospect, I definitely lied in two different aspects. Number one, because I said I'm a guy just trying to get by, which isn't true. Like I was lying to myself to cope. Because to me, right, back then the idea of a good life was just a normal 9-to-5, maybe some office job, maybe file some papers, make some spreadsheets, find a girl, doesn't have to be really attractive, just not terrible. A girl that's not that annoying, maybe have a kid or two, and then retire when I'm 65. Maybe I'll travel once in a while, once a year, once every other year, hide from my wife in IKEA on Saturdays, and just call it a good life, right? Just a guy that's trying to get by. But I was lying to myself. That was cope. It was the safe answer because I was scared to admit to myself, like, no, I want to chase impact. I want to create something dope. And the second reason why I was lying is because in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, of course I'm a good guy. Like, I care about people. I try to do right. I believe in God. Like, yeah, of course I'm a good guy. But it just sounded way cooler in my head to say I'm just a guy trying to get by. But I think deep down, especially every guy has that drive, has that fire inside of him. It's just that through life and society, the world holds you down in terms of what you think you're capable of. And then eventually that fire inside of you becomes extinguished. Like listen, right, if everybody just listened to their teachers, then nobody would do anything great. And that's a bit of a generalization, right? There are some exceptional teachers out there, but you get my point. And it's funny, I remember I had this history teacher in high school, and it was the last week before summer. It was either freshman or sophomore year, and he started to give life advice. I don't remember exactly what he was saying, but no offense, he was in his 40s, kind of fat, kind of greasy, single, no wife, no kids. You know that one teacher that probably tries to hit on the other single teachers during lunch? But I remember just thinking to myself, like, this guy, I'm supposed to listen to a 45-year-old charisma vacuum history teacher? Like, I'm sorry, but I don't want to be anything like you. But because you go through life and society and so many different people telling you different things, you begin to put yourself in this mental box, and oftentimes it puts limitations on what you think life should be or what you're able to do. And this is where a lot of people start to idolize and look up to other people and live vicariously through others. You put these limitations on yourself and you start to think that the pinnacle of your life is living for the weekend. You know, just going to the club and hoping to get some pussy. And to avoid this mindset, right, there's a part of you that has to hate losing to your core. The moment you become content with losing, that's when the complacency starts to kick in. Like you have to want to compete. And if there's no immediate enemy or opposing force in your life, even though there probably should be, then all you have to do is create one. Create another version of yourself that's the yin to your yang. You know, a better version of yourself that you're always competing against. The version of yourself that you secretly want to be. Every time you're tired, every time you're sad, every time you want to give up, that version of yourself is staring down at you. And each and every time he's asking you, is that it? Is that all you got? You better get up. Actually, go on your social media right now, your Instagram, your Twitter, your TikToks, whatever you have, right? And go through the comment section of any thread or any post that's on your feed. And go tell yourself, like, this is the average population. Like, this is your competition. Like, actually take a second to read through the comments of the post on your feed. And you'll realize that most people have room temperature IQ. So if you're not genuinely where you want to be, that should piss you off. And realize that when it comes to the game of life, you are completely alone. Like, yes, you have God, right? And yes, if you're lucky, you have supportive loved ones and family members and friends around you. But not a single person is going to do it for you, not even God. God only works when you do. You know, when you show him the potential of his creation. If you're eating Doritos in a basement in your drawers, you can't be sitting there like, okay, I'm waiting, God, where's my opportunity? Opportunities and life in general happens as you take action. Like, a lot of people say that there's no luck involved and it's 100% hard work, which isn't entirely true, right? There is an aspect of being in the right place and right time. But the luckiest person is the person that puts in the most work, and the unluckiest person is the one that doesn't. The more you try, the luckier you become. It's like you put yourself in the right place and the right time to be lucky as that opportunity comes. But bro, as fast as opportunities can come, that door closes even faster if you're not ready. Like, if you're not ready, it'll pass right by you. And by the way, that fire, that drive, that innate desire to conquer, it doesn't have to be this grandiose thing in society of being famous or super rich or anything like that. You know, it could be like being the best teacher in your community. You know, being that one teacher that every kid loves that you have a positive impact on. Or maybe traveling to a bunch of different countries and working with a bunch of different charities, right? Or becoming some basketball coach or soccer coach or some kind of coach that instills good values and virtues in these kids through a sport. Like, you know, just doing something impactful that goes beyond just yourself. You know, something more than just clocking in to, you know, get a paycheck to keep the lights on. Something great that's for the benefit of others. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that realize that you're in competition, but don't shy away from it. Don't let that discourage you or demotivate you. You know, let that inspire or motivate you, or let that incite a fire inside of you. Competition is a good thing, and let it be the reason as to why you're going to win. Anyways, hopefully you got some from that. Thank you for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. With that said, make sure you stay true. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Peace.